All right, welcome everybody to the first FiveM community meeting. I think the main topic today is going to be on the revamp coming up. And a lot of feedback on the Civ side of things and what we're lacking in that department. So there will be a major revamp on that. There's also a lot of things lacking that were seeded to people or were being run by people that aren't in the server right now. So that will be changed and reset up so that it's readily available to everyone. As far as when this revamp is coming, it probably won't be for a month or two. We have a huge FiveM update that we're working on right now. So development has kind of slowed over here for sure. I will make sure that this... Go ahead.
As we are, I don't know if anyone is aware, but we do only have a limited number of devs on this side, Freddie being one of them. We are working on bringing another person in, but with anything, it's a process.
And yeah, like I said, the main things that need to get put in before the update will get I'll be done tonight. You got some of the questions up.
Yep. So we are going to start with the Q&A questions. So this will mostly be Freddie or myself answering these. If any other staff here would like to chime in, if they feel they would know the answer to something like this, they can. So, first question. With the new massive FiveM update, I understand that development for FiveM will slow down for a bit. Are there any plans in the future for any large FiveM server updates, or will the server stay for it as time be? Well, I think we just answered that.
Yeah, for the most part. There will be updates that will come, obviously, to the core, like I said, to make sure everything functions and is playable still. Like I said, some's been lacking since people left. But yes, this will be getting a serious update once the FiveM one's done.
Yeah, and we'll try to push out, small bug fixes, small updates here and there. We don't want to stress out the small dev team we are working with. So, why were gun benches removed without warning? Will they be added back, or will there be a new way to acquire guns in the city?
Well, there's a few people that was banned for using menus. Mainly another reason was we seen that, I don't know, originally we were going to go with seating only, and we thought that it'd be better to have it public so everyone can fight over it. Well, it turns out no one actually fought over it. They're all just fucking friends, and it didn't really work out. So, another problem with that, I suppose, is everything is just so readily available that you don't have to go work or RP with anyone else to get it, right? So that's the main reason. That's another thing that would be fixed and put in a different way.
Yeah, with the exclusivity being removed, it removed the want to fight for things. So we are going to work on getting them put back in, but not in the capacity that they were. They won't just be littered around the map. Yeah, will there be a new way to acquire the guns in the city? Yeah, that's what I was just referring to. There will be things seeded out as well, so that will come. What do you guys think was handled poorly, or what is the reason we aren't retaining players?
To touch on guns quick too, there's still multiple jobs in the server where you can obtain guns.
Yeah.
What was that one?
What do you guys think was handled poorly, or what is the reason we aren't retaining players? We have pinpointed this, I believe, to being mostly our Civ side.
I ask this question all the time, so
yeah,
it's I'm not sure. I think it's the Civ side for sure. Another thing I think is once everybody got their groups and friends, I think it became really hard for new people to meet people. Especially with no events happening and no businesses open as like a hub to hang out at. It really stunts the new people when they're driving around or riding around, like, where is everyone? And no one's to be found, right? They're either out grinding or they're with their gang doing fucking gang shit. And I think that closed it off big time too, which, I mean, that's the way it goes. So I don't know how to fix that, to be honest. Life. But.
Yeah, but there's definitely been a lack of Civ love and we've
100%.
noticed it. We've seen it, so we are going to be fixing that.
I'm
Because
sure
the
everyone's
backbone-
noticed we've had a very rough go with the PD too. I think we've went through 4 or 5 police chiefs now. So we'll try to go for a better go. I think it's been good since the recent changes, right? Somewhat.
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
haven't been around for the past 2 weeks barely, so I don't know personally, but all right, next question.
What would be your opinion on business owners needing a mostly clean record to be able to work within the idea, or with the idea that civs would be able to have more of a chance to live without gang members making the crim money plus business money and leaving them in the dust financially?
We discussed this before we jumped in here, and I think this is a really good idea. I think this is very valuable to the civ side.
Yeah, and we will definitely be looking toward implementing that, requiring business owners be background checked, or if they are dabbling in crime, they have to play it smart, or else they face the risk of having their business seized.
Just makes it interesting too. Like gangs will have to have someone in their group that's kind of somewhat clean, right? If they want to own a business, or if they don't have that, they'll have to try to go talk to someone and work their magic to get some money laundering through that business. That's another thing I'd like to switch to or have come in more too is like the civ businesses would be what launders money rather than you go stand at a laundry machine.
Yep. All right. Question. What are your plans to keep Civ-style RPers viable in the city? I'm concerned that we're going into a cop versus robber state, where only those class of professions will give people the ability to buy the luxury items of the city. Will there be a remedy to this? Can we expect balance soon?
This is 100% why the gang turf script is being removed in the coming weeks, months, whatever it will be. As soon as this went in, everyone literally hyper focused on turf. And like was just mentioned, it was cops versus robbers for the most part, or gang versus gang. Which it was good. It got the gangs moving, but it's, that's all they care about right now for the most part, right? Or they're hyper focusing on, which stunts RP elsewhere too.
Yeah, it's spray paint or nothing right now, and we don't want it to be like that. We will also be. Sorry, who was that?
Oh, it was me. I was just gonna say on that mark with like the gang turf, it kind of removed a little bit of the organic role play of the criminals a little bit and kind of codified it more into like game mechanics, which while it was good, like Mafia said, to get things moving, it kind of made things less about actual story and more about, colored squares on the map, which was definitely a negative of the system. So I think finding a way to kind of scale that back and get that organic conflict going again like we had earlier on in the server was really good, because there were a lot of good organic conflicts that came about before that system, and I haven't really seen anything like that since we've gone to it. It just turns into, oh, I just got a notification that somebody's spraying my turf, and then it's a shootout. So I think going back on that is personally a decent idea, and will help with the overall crim RP and the police RP when they're responding to these scenes and gang versus gang conflicts, and not just the usual bank robberies, store robberies, drug sales, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like I said, it was very much spray paint or nothing, and we don't want to focus on that. We want things to be more viable for people. So for civs, we will be balancing the economy around them, balancing the jobs, balancing the
whole structure of it, really.
Right, yeah, and the ticker pay, for example. So we are going to definitely be putting a lot of work into this. This is essentially going to be the like Civ and Criminality 2.0 update.
And that was probably the biggest challenge for me personally, like being, I've been a dev and staff over in RedM for 2 years, where the economy is way different. So this was my first time at the economy in FiveM in a long time. So, and even when I did try it, it was on a scale of like 20 people in my server back in the day. So this is a lot bigger.
Great. Next question is going to be: do you have plans to make Civ RP better? Jobs on paywall, and there aren't many active businesses that hire on new Civs. Yeah. So
if we get repeat questions like this, just
Yeah.
Good.
I do want to say about the active businesses. We will be cracking down on businesses who do not pay or are not active. If we notice that, for example, Burger Shot, not to call out Apple or anything, just using you as an example, buddy. If we notice that Burger Shot isn't being open, for example, we will take it back. We've done it in the past, but it's definitely not been as
There's been talks to
strict
make
as it can be.
civ jobs too locked to buildings again, like it was at the start. So like Uwu and Burger Shot, for example, like you would have a significantly higher pay rate per 10 minutes if you're in the building rather than out in the street or wherever doing whatever. It would encourage people to actually stand at the business, because I know standing at a restaurant can be very hit or miss, right? It's 2 hours, it's dead, and then you get a rush and then it's dead again. So it's a hard one
Unfortunately,
to get
here's
people to
real life.
stand at. Yeah, valid point. But yeah, lots of balances will come for that type of thing, so that it's worth sitting in your business for 2 hours if you have to, in hopes that people come.
Yeah, and we also want to balance around EMS and police and stuff like that, because we need those people to make the server run.
Yeah,
Anyone can go rob a
I don't know
bank,
if
but not
that's been
everyone can respond.
announced, but outlawed doctors will be coming to an end. I think that's absolutely destroyed our healthcare system for the real doctors. Basically, every gang seems to have a outlawed doctor that they're just they're there to revive you, minimal medical RP and all that. So I think the outlawed doctors, like, it will exist, but you'll have to actually be a corrupt doctor. Like, you'll have to go into the actual healthcare system, get a job as the nurse or EMS or whatever, work your way up, and then you can be corrupt that way. It's just the outlaw thing just didn't go how it should have.
All right. This question is going to be: are there any plans for handoffs of government-controlled items or businesses? Certain items or transactions can only be done through staff. Boosting laptops and art sales, for example.
Boosting laptops, the guy who was doing that, he had to step away due to whatever. The art, at the start of the server, I controlled gems and art as a staff because I wanted to monitor how often people were hitting jobs. That was the main reason for that. That's been censored. Well, I guess Steve got put on staff, so didn't really leave staff. But yeah, the art can go to a NPC guy too that you go sell at the gallery or whatever it may be, so that it's fair. It was just a cool interaction, but also for the revamp, like, I'm not gonna own the gallery after the update, so that's another job that somebody could take over the art gallery and do exhibits and put up people's art and appraise art and all that fun stuff. It's good RP.
Yep. And with the race scene and the boosting laptops as well, that's actually, find out IC obviously, but that's absolutely out of the hands of staff at this point. We have a new group of people that have stepped in after the last representative that was handling those, and they're currently trying to revitalize that whole scene. So find out in character, but it's definitely available.
The second part to this was: I just hope that things are adjusted and the servers maintained. There's a strong community, but it needs the attention on adjustments to continue to thrive. Please, no more removing things without adding a replacement. We also need some form of city planner to address the Civ RP. There's too many restaurants and various businesses. All amount of restaurants would force everyone to 2 locations, more hosted events and such. We actually agree with that. We will be cutting down the overall businesses that are available in the city, because it's far too populated with like restaurants and bars and stuff. And we don't want to stifle RP by any means, but at the same time we need to force hubs, So if you have everybody going to 10 different restaurants around the city versus 3, then
Yeah, one thing I can say on that as well is, like, if you look back at the start of the server, those that have been here since FiveM launched, like, when everything was first kicking, the first, like, 2-3 weeks of the server, and pretty much every business that was in Los Santos, at least, was being run, there would be 3 or 4 businesses all trying to do an event the same night, and you'd either have everybody all show up to one or like 5 people show up to each one, and it kind of just hurt the overall thing with that. Like all the different clubs that were originally in, like Galaxy, Bahama Mamas, all that. It creates a little bit too much competition for it to actually be healthy for the interactivity of the server and for the population. So I think that that's a good way to handle that, as well as kind of scaling that back a little bit.
Yeah, and if there are people who apply for businesses that aren't in, like, say someone wants a new restaurant, for example, we will consider it, but just know that we will have to also look at the overall health of the before we go approving it. Next question. With the current economy in the city, as a business owner of a mech shop, I feel that recently the majority of the economy is dependent on shops buying materials to provide a decent income to civilians outside of doing illegal stuff. This has caused the prices to skyrocket on upgrades and repairs, leaving the shop at a point where we have 16 to 18,000 of each material, but don't have a lot of business coming into the shop or upgrades. We've continued to keep providing income to anyone that wanted to bring materials, but I don't think there's enough economy in the city to provide people the ability to upgrade their cars so the materials can be used. What are the plans to balance this out more? With the racing scene currently in shambles, I have opened a tuner shop in hopes that we would have the ability to sell harnesses, boosting laptops, NOS, etc. Is there any chance that this will be available for shops to purchase and sell? So for the first part of this, I think this is just about material costs for cars and upgrading things, so I'll let Freddie answer that one.
I mean, it sounds like the engine should be 1,000 more material per engine. Sounds like you need to use more materials. Is that what I'm getting at? There's more materials than there is parts going out?
It kind of sounds what it's
Yeah.
like.
I mean,
but I also think it's a general civ question about the overall. So I can't really. Can't really
read this for a sec.
I'll say I can kind of speak on that one with the experience that I had as a mechanic in the server. There was kind of a time where everyone stopped getting materials in terms of just normal civs, whereas early on in the server there were a lot of people, hitting the recycling center, doing chop, garbage when that was, giving out good bits of materials, and so the mechanic shops were able to pay what was at the time a decent amount of money. It was like $3 to $5 is kind of what it bounced back and forth between. But then it got to the point as more criminal activities started. A lot of those crims that were selling materials to kind of fund their initial adventures stopped doing that. And it turned into all the mechanics themselves having to go out and get the materials themselves. Like I remember working at Yo-Yaz, and I know if JJ is here listening, I know he and I talked about this for hours while we were running that shop, that you'd have to go grind materials for 4 hours to open the shop for 1 hour because you'd just go through it all. And it turned into the shops not being open enough, and there weren't enough mechanics like active because they either didn't have materials or they were all out grinding for materials. So the prices kind of had to increase as a necessity to try and encourage people to actually go get those materials and sell them to the mechanics. And then it kind of became the same cycle, so the prices had to go up again. And of course, whenever the mechanics are having to pay more for the materials that they need, the prices are going to go up as well. So it was kind of a never-ending cycle, it felt like, for a while. And it was really rough to handle for a while there as a mechanic. So
one thing that's been tossed in the air as well is actually having like a place where your engine and everything like that is created. So then we can alleviate the amount of mechanics going out and grinding their own materials. So then you'd actually buy from like said manufacturer. You'd buy your V8 engines, your V10s, your stuff like that.
We thought about that too. That'd be a good player-to-player economy job too, right? Like have a warehouse, right? They go get the materials and actually make the engines and suspensions and everything, and then mechs come and buy it from there pre-made. That'd be.
I will say there's probably also been a large influx in a lot more materials now floating around the city because
People aren't making
and
guns.
people aren't making guns. So yeah, the criminal requirement for materials is gone right now. So all the new people, they're just selling purely to the mechanics. I can understand mechanics feel bad. They want to buy it. They want to simulate the growth. But now they have too much material because, they're just basically hoarding it at this point. And then there's been issues where one material you can get in abundance, another material you can't. I think the one we're struggling for right now is metal scrap. So it's a difficult balance. And obviously when gun bunches return, which hopefully should be shortly for the pistols, that might relieve some of that because the materials won't all be taken to the mech shop. There'll be other people looking for materials at that point.
Yeah, so we will be making sure that we balance all that and getting the gun benches up.
As far as this second part of that question too, definitely a no on the NOS for shops. There's a reason that hasn't been brought in the server fully yet. And that's because criminals will abuse it for jobs and such. And then I'll have the cops cry to me that they don't have NOS, and then it just becomes a headache that nobody wants. So that'll be brought in when it's balanced or ready. As far as boosting laptops, I've always preferred that that's to either a racer guy or somebody that's really into cars, right? It's just because you're a tuner shop doesn't mean that you should sell a boosting laptop. It's not how it should work, in my opinion. Harnesses, sure, maybe that's something that could order in bulk and sell at shops. Then they're out and about and around and available. What do you got next, Marcus?
All right, next we've got. Is there plans for items such as thermite, the black market, and pistol crafting to return? Thermite, yes. The black market never left. The way to find it just became harder. And pistol crafting will return in some function, yes. We know the thermite has been a big issue, and we are going to remedy that as soon as we can. Because of the fact that it's not in any of the tables from the criminal jobs, nor is it in the black market.
Not to send people on a wild goose chase, but there's been places you can buy laptops too since the new bank heist came out, so find out in character.
Do you have any other comments or concerns? It's becoming nearly impossible to do a lot of jobs in the city as thermite is a requirement for most jobs and there's no way to get your hands on it. There hasn't been for a while. Pistol crafting being gone is making it really hard for people to get their hands on low tier weapons. Yes. Yeah, we agree, and like I said, we are going to fix that. It feels as if GTA has been put on the back burner and the server has been feeling stale. Are there any plans for some major updates? Well, simply put, yes, it has been put on the back burner because of the RedM update. The fact that we do have a limited team of devs. We've answered the second part of that question. Other comments or concerns? I feel that rather than giving people a chance to prove they're trustworthy, all the major roles of the city go to admin/staff. I wish there was a little more opportunity given for people to prove they are trustworthy rather than splitting up so many things between staff. This leads to businesses not being open as often because the person running it also runs this, that, and the other thing.
What's an example of that?
I was going to ask the same thing.
If somebody wants to put their hand up and speak, feel free.
There is one request to speak from Julian. Julian, can you just say in community meeting if this was your question? And that's why you're putting your hand up, or are you just offering examples?
He's here.
I just wanted to offer example on the thing that was being talked about with the car parts and manufacturers and whatnot. I've seen it in other servers where they have stuff like that, and then where the players, like the crims and stuff, can if you leave your car out or you leave your car unlocked as a player, another player can come and steal your car parts out of your car and sell them to the mechanic shops as an illegal way for them to get those car parts on their hands as well.
See that being a ticket nightmare.
Yeah, maybe people be like, my car parts.
Yeah. My engine disappeared. No, it got stolen. Actually,
I don't think we want to give people the Detroit special.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If I would be like, well, my engine's gone, where'd it go? Yeah, true. But no, sorry, that was kind of off topic. I raised it a little bit earlier and forgot to put it down.
Oh no, you're fine, man.
But that was it. Y'all have a good one.
Cheers.
So I think I can name a few businesses that are owned by staff here, but the thing is there's
I think I'm the only example of that. To be completely honest, I own the fucking
Mugs.
gallery, the imports, which the imports were slowed down on purpose, and that's another thing when the revamp comes is like the imports are not going to be easy to get, and like this whole thing, everybody thought that just because you bought an import, it's supposed to be some god sent car that's like hyper speed. That's not what it is. You're buying a brand. Just for the record, because like there was so many tickets where I bought an import and it's shit. Well, they're not all good.
And trust me, it's a lot more unfair if those imports are all the best cars. You want the best cars to be the local cars, the ones that everybody has access to.
Yeah,
that's how it should be.
Yeah, I paid almost $1 million for a '69 Camaro that doesn't even supercars. So it is what it is. It's a brand choice. But the thing with the businesses being owned by staff is a lot of the people here weren't actually staff when they got these businesses. Mila took up realty, but she wasn't staff.
And like the trustworthy things, like is that like there's, I'm not even gonna say it, but like somebody held the key to something that may have been staff or not. That doesn't mean that key couldn't have been taken from that person ever. It's not like it's fucking glued to them and only them that they can use it. It's RP, man. Get after it. Anything that anyone has in the game is obtainable for the most part, whether it's through a proposal or taking it.
Yeah, and the only thing I would say, since Freddie like briefly mentioned it there, the only thing that for the most part and for the longest of the server's lifetime, and we've recently started expanding this just to make it more available, that was pretty much a strictly staff locked role for a while was real estate, just because it gives you the ability to do, it's extremely abusable in the wrong hands. Because, you know, the real estate agents that we have now are under the impression that they're looking at serious punishment from a server and staff perspective if they abuse that role, because as a real estate agent, you have access to everyone's home, everyone's property, and a real estate agent could just go into your house and, you know, clean out your stash. But, you know, if they do that, they're getting banned. I mean, that's just a serious abuse of the role itself.
It's all logged too, so.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's been the only thing that I would say has been strictly, at one point, was held as just staff. It was just myself and Mila doing that for the longest time, but that just wasn't really sustainable with us only really being available in like the American time zone evenings. We kind of needed to expand real estate a little bit, and so it was a pretty serious process to vet people for that and get some trustworthy people in those positions to help with that. So
yeah, so there are certain things that definitely need to go toward trustworthy people, and some of it does need to go toward staff because we just need to be able to keep an eye on it. But a lot of the people here got their businesses before they were staff. So, I mean, when I got Digidin, for example, I wasn't staff over here. I lurked in the staff room and I watched things, but I was still managing Redem. So it's a matter of perspective. I know it may seem like a lot of things go to staff, but it really doesn't. We don't want this to be staff playground. Servers. I think this comes down a lot to MLOs and things like that.
I honestly haven't been able to pinpoint this. To be completely honest with you, there's certain cop cars that as soon as the sirens and lights turn on, I get a headache. It's a slow sputter that happens, but it's 100% something to do with the lights on one of them import cop cars, I think. Other things, we took out Pillbox. I know there's been an extremely like positive change since that. Like you can actually do the suicide fucking mile from the highway all the way into the city past Legion now, or we used to call it that because you'd head pop every fucking time. But now you can actually do it going 200. not have an issue for the most part. As far as other places in the city, it's like Marcus said, it could be an MLO, it could be, I don't know, lots of things, to be honest. Probably an LOD on an MLO though, not loading right.
Yep. Tom saying, I know in past cities in the with 4K graphics def cause lag and freezes. Yeah. We will need to go back over. At some point, we will need to go back over the top cars and look at the individual polys of them,
That's
like the
thing
poly
too.
counts.
Some of the imports too from Ploke, I know for a fact, are super high polys. So
Yeah, yes, because like there are cars being brought in with over 200,000 polys, and that shit gets heavy when they're all bunched up together.
And I mean, we've really tried to push the boundary too with a lot of things like the Mile High Club. I don't know. I've never been in another server that had that MLO, which that's a fucking big one in the core of the city, which we tried, and I don't think it was the best move, so it was removed.
Yeah, because it was also the one changing all the
It's
subway
also,
stations.
yeah, that's also probably why a lot of servers don't have it, is because it's such a huge MLO. We acknowledge the no-knock raids recommendation.
Comment that stood out was, if we are not able to do jobs without cops on, the vice versa should be for cops and their warrants. I seen the back and
Did
forth.
somebody get
like,
raided when they're offline? Is that what I'm taking from this?
That has happened, yes.
Well,
And
that shouldn't be happening.
yeah, I believe SWAT was put on hold for a few days until that is resolved.
Yeah, so the let me make a distinction here.
That's super hard to do, to coordinate without like pure metagaming, right? Like, how do you ask the gang, "Hey, are you gonna be online today so we can raid you?" Oh yeah, sure, man.
I
You know
think
what I mean? That's a hard one.
processes now is they will make every effort to try and do it in a time that those people are generally around, and
Okay.
try and see if they're in the city at least. But again, it's so hard to ensure all your SWAT guys there, the Bobcats already, like, it's a good bit of give and take, you know.
So I do want to make a distinction. There's a difference between a no-knock raid and an offline raid. A no-knock raid just means the police get to assert their dominance as police without needing to knock on your door first. An offline raid, they do when people are not around. A no-knock raid can be done with people online. So it's not exactly like, yeah, the police will have been trying to make sure that people are online, but no-knock raid does provide that sort of oh shit RP. So we can definitely make sure that the cops do more surveillance. I know we have several police command in here right now. But in terms of no-knock raids, I don't think we'll be removing those. We'll just be making sure that the police actually verify that there are people around or could be. Could also potentially do it like a thing where there is going to be a large raid, we get a member of SWAT command or police command and a gang leader and a ticket, and have it kind of play out like war terms, but that requires a lot of coordination, so it's something that's definitely got to be put on a whiteboard and thought out.
Can I chime in here? So with the raids, I know that I have told SWAT in order to plan these raids and everything to prevent what's been happening in the past is to have a 2-hour cushion before storms so that people can retaliate, or right after a storm to prevent the issue of the rule breaks. As far as raiding a person's home, they're supposed to be getting confirmation at least somehow that that person is online, whether it's through Twitter or they heard that someone saw this person at this place, like they just know that that person is generally present online. So then it's not an offline raid, and it gives that person a chance to, push back if need be. That's pretty much that.
Yeah, so like I said, there's a difference between offline and no knock. You want to prevent the offline raids. No knocks will probably not be going in.
I think Jay Wright wants to speak on this particular topic from what he's saying in the community meeting chat. I think he's got his hand up.
What's up, man?
All right, hello.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, cool. Yeah. So I mean, it's obviously not everyone knows that this topic is caused off of our situation, given what happened to us, and I could totally acknowledge the part of of giving a heads up and taking the integrity of that person not to do something like hide everything away right away. I could definitely see that part happening and whatnot. And I think someone mentioned it with the banter back and forth was like a kind of like a war terms kind of thing, but you know, uh, some kind of way where we can be notified, but like the option to be able to retaliate or at least hold it down would have been nice. Definitely gonna roll with the scene for the most part. I just do think like the other half of my ticket did say something about like with the biggest comment being that cops we make sure cops are online so we can plan a job, and it's just like how they have to coordinate with getting the warrant signed off and everything. We still have to plan our getaways, get the cars, get the people, get the gear, get the hostage, and then and just so all that takes planning. So on the criminal side, we do have to plan ourselves as well. But so I understand the cops have to coordinate with getting the numbers, the gear, the plan, and so it just sounds like the same thing we're doing. But to do it offline when I can't retaliate or I can't at least defend or anything like that, that it's just kind of hard on our part to combat that, especially when I'm not online to see it happen. If I see it happen before my eyes, it's what they caught me when I wasn't paying attention, or someone couldn't alert me in city because like, hey, there's a raid. In my old city, that's what would happen. Like, hey, cops are gearing up. Get your shit. That was your warning. Was that setup? Seeing all those the SWAT cars get readied and all the police dressing up, like that was your warning. Was that 5-minute window, 10-minute window for you and all the other gangs go back to your stashes and either hold it down, put it away, or do something. But not being able to defend it while offline was definitely a big hit to us because no one got acknowledged. No one was notified that we were going to be targeted. And again, I know it plays an integrity role on my side as well as anybody else who might be going through that situation.
I don't think anybody should be notified. I think something that could happen is we have people like Jaeger, we have people like Rory and Dusty who aren't biased and they're main cops. They don't have a crim in a gang, stuff like that. They could just see if those people are online. Like they can do that through their staff power. So that's something. But as far as getting notified, I mean, that's just going to turn into people are just going to pull all their shit out of the storage.
Yeah, true.
There's no way to like really do that because people will abuse that. Like almost guaranteed, people will abuse that.
Like I said, that plays an integrity role, like with the raids and that were on the city a couple weeks ago, and people abused it. I totally understand that. Like I said, all that revolves around an integrity thing. That you're gonna trust me to do the right thing, and vice versa. I'm gonna trust you guys to do the right thing. I mean, how you just acknowledged that staff could see someone online and whatnot, they can also be no clipped over the area that they're going to be raiding and see if I actually
that's asking them to like pause their role play and not be a part of it. So that's typically not a good thing to do because as staff we want to role play too, so it wouldn't make sense for that.
I mean, I have like my other ticket with that stuff, and as well as like I mean, well, you're talking about
one thing that I've
our
tossed around is that when people have warrants, it could be public, like viewable at City Hall, stuff like that. That could help. So then you have an idea that you may be getting raided.
Yeah, I mean,
you
I
won't
did
fully
that.
know you're being raided, but you'll know that you have a warrant for X thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did that with my character. We turned ourselves in to see if there was warrants on our names, and we were told no. And then not too long later, we were raided. We tried to take all the precautionary steps. We turned ourselves in. We talked with PD. Um, we were never questioned. We were never brought in for anything. We were never captured for nothing. And we still turned ourselves in with none of that happening, and we were told nothing was on us. So then that raid was really like a blind shot to us. To
So officers will probably never admit to someone they're investigating them for a suspected terrorism arrest. I'll just put that
Yeah, no,
down.
and I
Given the
mean,
nature of what happened, like I said, it's pretty standard. You wouldn't have been aware. Should it have happened when you're offline? PD are definitely making steps to counter with that.
yeah,
I don't think there's ever going to be a system in place so that crims could anticipate if they're going to get raided.
yeah,
If you're going around and you're doing dumb stuff and you know you are, then you should expect those times we expected to get raided at some points because of certain things that happened.
right,
Um, you know, if I was threatening to shoot someone on Twitter or, and then they showed up getting shot, I would expect to be
right,
arrested.
right. No, yeah, and then that's understandable. But that's just kind of where I put the ticket in for that. Again, uh, I get a no knock warrant, and I get um having to coordinate to do that raid. Um, it just would have been a little bit better to been around.
Of course. Yeah, I understand that. And like I said, there are steps now with the PD. I'm sure Rory can agree. They are trying their hardest to make sure that doesn't happen again. Because that's not how we want raids to go. We we like it when there's interactions. There was that we raid a long time ago, and that was great because there was some there. It created some court cases, a lot of DOJ role play, and that kind of stuff is what we want to foster. So
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
totally.
a lot of stuff that we're working on to correct and make sure doesn't happen going forward.
cool. I guess though that was my 2 cents on that. I appreciate you guys letting me be on.
Thank you for sharing. We appreciate it, and obviously
Yeah.
want to hear people's perspectives who have been raided and how they felt it went. So thank you for sharing.
And unfortunately, it's never going to be a perfect system, but we will try to make it as good as we can.
Yeah.
No more DOJ roleplay, says Michaela. You know what? I agree. We're shutting it all down.
All right, thank you guys.
Have a good one. With the Civ side, with the Civ side being a problem and the major update being in the future, is there a chance that we can get a short-term fix for current Civ jobs just increased to allow them to make a living while the update is being pushed or developed?
Yes.
Yeah, that's like what we're talking about right now. What we were talking about before we all jumped in here for the meeting. That was exactly what we were discussing. Is what we can do right now to alleviate a lot of the issues.
Sorry, yeah, just following what Mike was saying, that essentially getting stuff in so criminals can do jobs, getting the thermite in, getting civilians a bit more empowered. This is stuff we're not waiting for the update to do that. We're doing it now. As soon as we're able.
Is there anything coming that the gang can fight over, like drug locations? I think one gang holding on to a key or something like that makes them too safe in the city. It's a power play. No gang will want to fight a gang that holds on to power like that, and the different gangs have different time zones.
You could have took the keys.
Yeah, the keys are, that's the whole reason that system was in, so that people fight for the keys. Like, create a story. Fucking, you catch somebody slipping by themselves, right? You kidnap them, and your gang takes that person and either question where's the key or if maybe they have the key on them. That was put in for you guys to fight over. And as far as, I mean, there's drug locations where you harvest drugs all over the map that people could fight over too. It's just a matter of catching people there. Um, but we do agree in the sense that that's, I don't know. It's hard to say because we were gonna stick with seating, and then we went with the public system, and I mean, I guess it didn't really work out, did it? I don't know. We'll make adjustments, I guess. We'll have to brainstorm again.
Yeah, I'd say any major changes to criminality will be with the main update. For now, it's
Fixes.
mostly fixes, getting the civs in a good place, and obviously giving criminals what they need to do the jobs. But we're not going to be overhauling any of that right now because criminals are good. The eco is generally good. The civilians are the ones suffering now, so they're the ones we're going to focus on.
Yep. Cops have been doing an outstanding job, but is it possible to do more investigative roleplay? These cops know these gangs, but they wait for them to hit a bank or something along those lines. That happens plenty, I'd say. As someone who is a fly on the wall of the investigative side of the PD because of my role as not only staff but as a judge, I see them do very thorough investigations actually, and I don't think there's any issue with the way they handle it currently. If you get caught doing a bank or something, that's on you, but they are building their case in the meantime.
I think that's it for the questions, right? Somebody's got their hand up. We can open the floor.
Yeah, there's one last question, real quick. Can staff reassure the community that they will not abuse their position, or that they will not staff abuse them if they pick a fight with them in character? I don't know who wrote that. I don't know what community hurt you, but Freddie and I will be the very first ones to back down on someone who abused.
This is the biggest thing that I say. Like, I am here to role play too, right? Like, there's a lot of people that won't come at me for that reason. In RedM or FiveM, it seemed like. And at the end of the day, I'm here to have fun and role play like everyone. The whole staff team is at that point, and staff gets twice the punishment for any abuse like that. So I would not let that fly. And it hasn't happened. Staff plays fair, right? They're on the staff team for a reason. They're responsible. They're trustworthy. They shouldn't be doing that. And if they are, then it can be reported, right? And we will handle it.
Yeah, and I'd say there's been a fair number of conflicts between gangs who've had staff in and haven't had staff in and everything. And I don't think there's ever been an issue with a staff abusing their power to get a leg up in that. And I think
if anything, we hand
overall,
off
it's all
more
been
power.
really fun. Yeah.
If anything, we hand off more power and oversight. Like, I oversight in my gang and have them lead in things because I don't want that to
Same.
be something that gets brought up.
Yeah, and like the only possible way they'd be able to abuse you in character with staff powers is like if they gave themselves God mode or something, which
Yeah.
we would certainly know about. And then that person would promptly have their powers taken away.
More than that.
Right, that is the end of the questions, and we will open up the floor now.
Big John, you're up.
Awesome. How is everyone doing today?
Not bad. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, that last question was actually mine. I just wanted you guys to say it for yourselves because a lot of times in character I've heard and I've talked to people and they be like, "Oh, you know, they were afraid of Freddy and there was no reason behind it." To me, Freddy was like Bruce Wayne. You know what I mean? You know, he had money. He had money. Every time you see him, he just smelled the money. Everything he did smelled the money. And people, I don't know if that's what they feared or if it was the fact that you
Right?
are,
Because
you
I mean,
know,
I didn't
where
have
you
no
are.
huge gang behind me. At any given
Yeah.
time, there's only 5 of us, 6 of us, maybe. So fuck.
It definitely threw me back. So I was like, you know, why are these people, you know, pressing these, you know, Freddy like this? Not to say, you know, I just wanted some, you know, interesting kind of, you know, flair there. I know you wanted a fight. I know you wanted both in character and out of character that you wanted to fight, and nobody ever pressed you. And the only reason why the woo didn't press you is because, you know, we were cool or whatever. You know what I mean? But I told you both in character and out of character that I had no problem taking a fight to staff. But one of the main reasons why I raised my hand is like I've seen in like two of the cities that made me this wonderful RPer that I am today. This the system as far as gangs go, because I am pro crim. Um, whereas they made it like lucrative territories. I'm pretty sure I suggested it too, and the whole community shot me down. It felt like a Red M vibe. I got shot down, just hate. But for FiveM, it was like the territories actually were lucrative. For if you controlled it, you had like a certain drug, but to caveat on it, it was also a place not controlled by territory that even civs could run here and get the same product. Yeah, it was a little bit more, but that was incentive for the gangs to hold the turf. If they know, okay, this is the place where I get coke from, I can chop up coke bricks here. At this place, it may take coca leaves and gas. Whereas at the territory, it'll just take straight coca leaves, but maybe just a little bit more of them. But holding the territory, I don't have to go and grind and get the gas or the resources for that stuff. But at the same time, I also have to defend this turf for as long as I hold it, I have this. But if someone takes it from me, I have no access to it, and I'll be either forced to fight them for it or tuck tail and just do this. I also feel like that also opens up business avenues because it did in these cities for the gangs, because just like with the keys and stuff and any deal with crims, it influenced talking political, or how I call it politicking. When I tell people politic is RP, so it influences the politicking front. Like if I had to go to the KJs and they held down coke, and I was like, hey, look, what can I do for a deal? Instead of having to bang for you, let me just buy it from you. And that kind of stuff helps with the crim stuff. And I haven't seen anything in particular that was wrong with it that had, what I mean, other than like there may be a gang or two that just will not back down when they have this stuff, but that becomes a war of attrition, or y'all have a wonderful system in play for the war. What I mean? They could easily win that war and then another gang presses them right after or whatever have you. You know what I mean? That kind of situation. But like that, the war system that y'all have here wasn't implemented in either of those cities, so there literally is a end result to a conflict here where there was not in that city. So it was constant sliding back and forth. Now, of course, all wars start with sliding back and forth, but like I said, y'all have a end result for it. So I was wondering if that's something y'all wanted to, or just making a suggestion here, if that was something that interests you or piqued your interest to some degree.
So I will say, obviously, with the turf system at current, there is incentives. We know about them as leaders and stuff. As for what we're gonna do, I'll be honest, we can't really give you an answer right now. So maybe we go back to seeding, maybe we do it another way. At current, it's we just now we know the community we're catering for, it actually makes it easier to put systems in. At the
Right.
start of when you make something, you don't know what the community will shape like, so it's very hard to know what system is gonna work for that community. Because I don't think there's an end all be all script which is the best. I think different scripts work for different communities.
Right.
So we'll take it on board.
I,
But
I, I
yeah.
like it. I think it's we have a few systems that we were talking about.
Mm.
But this is a good idea too, for sure. I know I don't want to say the name of the place, but I know another city too that has, well, it's gun benches, I believe. So
Mm.
each gang, right, they get their gun bench makes a specific gun, which at that point they kind of all got to be the same power, right? But in the same sense, I don't even like that because I mean, then you got your own shit. You can go get a different gun if you want to from somebody else, but we just back at the same fucking spot we are. So yeah, I mean, a system like you're talking about would keep people moving too. So
Right.
we'll definitely have to weigh the options when the time comes.
I mean, that's all I got right now. I appreciate you guys' time. I'm gonna go back down here. RIP to crypto.
The rise of
Yeah,
the
we'll just
Digicoin
say
will
that.
come soon. Digicoin will come. Down with crypto.
I might surprise everyone with a new phone script in 2 days. It actually has working notifications.
All right. Next up on our list is going to be Cheeto, Mr. Rhett. How's
Hey,
it going, bud?
how's it going, guys?
Good. What's the question, man?
So at the beginning, I heard you guys say that you guys were gonna take out the turf script because y'all felt like it was more spray paint over like roleplay. But to be honest, I disagree quite a bit because in the last couple of weeks, I've seen a lot of incentive, more gang violence and everything over turf than I have probably in the last month. To be honest with you, it's been like really good incentive, in my opinion, to like formulate RP, people making backhanded deals and just things like that, trying to work territory and things to their like advantage. And
Yeah,
so
I actually agree with him. I think if anything, more things to incentivize people to take people's turf just creates even more reasons for people to want to take turf. I mean, you have Woo and Lost right now. They're having RP fighting because of the turfs. You have Vagos and Casino who've had fighting because of the turfs. You have Demonic and KJ fighting because of the turfs. If you look outside of that, I don't think anybody has fought over anything besides turfs. But continue on, Cheetah. Sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to back you up in that because I do agree with that side.
yeah, appreciate it, man. No, like he pretty much said it all. It just caused more violence. Now the script is buggy as hell. I will say it does get aggravating when you're like, my turf's not showing, and you go over there and you have like I don't know 30 like tags on there, and you're like, well, time to add another just so it shows up.
Yeah.
But aside from that, nothing's
There
perfect.
might be something to do with the DK. I'll look into that too. See what it's at.
Yeah, I think I'm not even gonna tell you how much I spent on spray paint. It's kind of embarrassing. But kind of also what Big John said about like possibly using turf for certain things like that. Like I think his idea is great, but I disagree with the one spot being a area for certain things. I like the idea of moving around, but I do think holding turf and having like certain areas of turf like have some sort of like benefit to it would be interesting. Because like for example, if you had I don't know Coke out in Sandy and let's say I don't know Demonic really wanted Coke, it doesn't make sense for a city gang to be out there holding down a Sandy territory just to use that. But his idea is actually I don't know. I like the idea. I just want to like kind of see if
Just
we can
needs to
figure
be
out a
executed, right?
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
But that's all I had to say. Just wanted to let y'all know that there is role play happening with the turf.
Okay. Well, we'll weigh the options with that too, for sure. Then, if
All
people
right.
like it, then we'll leave it for sure. I just don't want civs to feel like it's the whole city is that now. Although they can't even see it on the map, so a lot of them might not even know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, we just don't want it to turn into gangland all over. Like Southside being gangland is fine, but we don't want so much of it.
I don't. It's not even that really. Like the gangland's fine, whatever. It's just I don't want it to solely rely on the mechanic is all. But if there's RP coming from it and it's nice organic things, then we'll leave it.
And also the cops and robbers will be alleviated by us increasing civ pay. Because I mean, I'm sure as a lot of you know, a new person shows up to the city, they ask what's a good way to make money, and their answer probably 90% of the time right now is doing crime. So we obviously all know that as staff that that's something that has to change, and that should help bring more civ life to the server just by configuring that stuff to where their pay is increased.
Oh yeah, civ life is tough. But all right, thanks guys.
No problem.
CJ here is suggesting also that turf shouldn't decay as fast.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
Yeah, that's something we can certainly look into. Reduce the expenses for the Vagos on their spray cans.
And I know Chris Gordon had said he wanted to speak on this topic as well. He said he had raised his hand for it. I think somebody else did as well, but I would have to scroll back up and find it.
Guys, please make sure you're raising your hands if you can, because we want to keep this going and flowing in a timely manner. We want to get you all out of here either for the restart or before it. So,
Cheeto, are you good to go?
Yeah, man, appreciate it.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
There'll be a little button down there that you just have to quietly exit or something. It should say. And then we got Declan.
Cool. Hey, how are you guys doing?
How are you?
So I just wanted to comment on a couple of things. The one thing's what John said with the kind of like drug controlled turfs. I've been in cities where they did something kind of similar, but you would go to somebody and it would tell you which neighborhood was buying drugs. And they just used like unpopulated areas in the city, and it helped keep away like the gang violence and crime from the civ populated areas.
Hmm.
And it was a good way for like gangs to be able to still have their conflicts, their gun RP, and the civs were kind of like protected from it almost. Now, if they were like in that area doing like a job that might take them over there randomly, then they might get caught in the crossfire, which is kind of a thing that does happen, unfortunately. Sometimes innocent people do get hurt, but it was like it felt really organic the way that it was like, okay, well, right now, like Southside's buying weed or something like that, so every gang could find that out through talking to like the right NPC or purchasing the right item, and they would know, okay, so now we're gonna all go to Southside, and all the gangs would try to sell in Southside, and you would only have like a 2-hour window to sell in that area, and they would only buy so much product. So it made it like really competitive to sell drugs, and like the risk and reward was very high.
I don't think that's
It's an interesting
idea.
idea on it.
And I was just curious if you guys have any like I made like a support or a suggestion post about it, but I just wanted to I figured since it's a community meeting, we can kind of get like maybe like feedback from you guys, and people can comment in the community meeting about how like you guys feel about like headshot damage and stuff like that, so that way the guy with the bigger gun doesn't always win. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know what to say to that one.
Yeah,
those
that's a
are
tough
just
one because then what ends up happening is you create like a Browning meta. Then everybody's just rolling around with pistols because they know they can tap somebody twice in the head, and that also makes gunfights a lot shorter.
And
Yeah,
in
like
reality,
you'll
the
encounter the
gun-
red M thing where people just like, oh, I know I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do some crime that's gonna get me arrested. I'm just gonna bring this cattleman because I can get headshots and get arrested. And it won't matter.
Exactly.
Okay, I think that argument makes sense, and I mean it doesn't. I don't know how hard it is to like adjust damage to the head for like certain weapons and stuff like that, but like even if it was just like 3 or 4 shots to the head making a difference as opposed to like 8 shots to the body, because
Um,
like it just
to,
feels like it's a lot easier to spray to the body. You know what I
to
mean?
take your side, and like I've tested this in test server, like a heavy pistol, a deagle are pretty much the same. So like stuff like that could definitely go with the balancing. Like if a desert eagle, since that's available to, it's more available to the masses. If something like that was able to 2-shot to the head or something with low rate of fire, but it definitely can't be like where Brownings just 2-shot to the head, because then you're gonna end up with everybody just running around with Brownings.
Yeah, I think that's a totally fair and valid argument to that. I definitely think it would have to revolve around balancing of those things. Um, it just seems like I don't know, something that like could be a little bit more valuable to gunplay. But those are just the 2 things I want to talk about. Thank you, guys.
Yep. I think if we lowered gun damage in general, that would draw out gunfights, but we'll see.
Right.
Mr. Vega.
Oh, hey, how you guys doing?
Uh,
There were a couple of things I wanted to suggest. One of them was being more stuff for EMS to use, such as like stretchers that they can bring out on scenes and pick people up with and put them in the car and stuff like that, just to enhance the EMS RP for them in a way, which I think it's already super strong as is, but just to give it a little bit extra, oomph to it. Something else was the last guy was discussing the drugs and whatnot and like selling them and stuff. And I seen a script in one server that I personally really liked. And you'd go to a corner or somewhere and you would do T/dealer and you would pull out your phone, you do a little texting emote, and then it would bring a local, like a local would spawn out of your vicinity where you can't see them, and they would walk up to you and buy the drugs off you and then leave. And if they didn't buy the drugs, it would alert the police, and it basically just was a way to like actually sit on a block and like actually sell drugs like selling on the block like it would be, instead of oh, there's 5 locals here. I can get out, sell 5 to these people, and then run down the street, sprint down the street, and harass these people for some drugs too to buy my shit. It just feels like selling drugs is just like harassing people. You're running up to them and just harassing, like, buy my drugs. You know what I mean?
They have corner
organic.
selling, man, and that's the criminals still cheese it. They get off their dirt bike and they trigger corner sell and they sell one and they run away.
Yeah, and that's why I think the I don't know, I think the slash dealer where you could stand on a block and do it something like that in a way would make it a little bit better because you don't have to move around to sell drugs. You can stand in one block and
That's how the
just
corner selling is, though. We already have that.
Oh, really?
It's through
Yeah,
that
you
one.
can corner
People
sell just
don't
like that.
use it, really.
Yeah, it's
Wait,
People
separate
just
from
cheese
the.
it and run around and sell to one person at a time and then leave.
Wait,
It's-
hold on.
It's distinctly separate from the drug selling that's in the slash gang menu. It's in your F1. Yeah, it's in your F1 under corner selling. That's It's exactly that, but without the emote. And if there are just locals around you, there's a chance that they'll walk up to you to buy drugs.
Oh, so if you see in other servers where they've done the F1 like that, it's like you have to run up to the locals and do the F1 and stuff. They don't like actually like when you do the T/dealer, it would like spawn a specific local in that would walk up to you and buy it off of you. You know what I mean?
No, with this script, if you activate the corner selling, they'll aggro to you. Locals that are walking by, and locals will like populate when
That's
you're
good
in
to
that
know.
area.
Yeah,
too.
that's good to know. That's good to know. I wasn't aware of that because other servers I've been in didn't have it like that. So
Yeah, and it's encouraged that you kind of sit there, you sell a few bags, so then you might get like a PD
Right.
interaction too. So
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I love doing that. I never, if I'm selling, I try to stay in the same area just because I love the interaction and because you shouldn't be cheesing it like that. It just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Something else I think would be better is if something like the Red M server has with the like Swamp Herb sells more when there's more cops online and sells less when there's less cops. I think that way would also work. So like if you're selling when there's only 3 PD online, the minimal amount, you're gonna get less for your weed than you would with full amount of PD online. And I think that would encourage more PD drug busts as well. But that's all I had.
alrighty, yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, who's next? Tom Toms.
Our local Yellowjack and favorite reporter.
Hello.
Hey, man.
Hey, just thank you guys for throwing this meeting. First of all, I appreciate y'all. I got a couple questions. Can we get... So, I know that everybody's talking about the personal vehicles and all that. Can we get, like, a more serious response when people use their personal vehicle during, like, major crimes? Like, obviously not something small like selling drugs, but, like, robbing a bank, jewelry, the art store, something of that nature. I mean, can they get... like heftier fines or like put their car behind a paywall essentially or eventually get repossessed?
There's actually a system in place with the law, I believe. I would have to Rory and Barry might be able to comment on it, but I think Dusty put something in. There's like an actual charge they can lay that can impound your car up to like 30 days.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken. I don't think anybody's ever been hit with it yet, but I do believe that is a thing.
Like in real life, if you're going like 150 this week and then you get caught 3 weeks later, like on a bike or whatever XYZ car going 130 or some shit, you could get your car taken. Yeah,
lose your license minimum. Speed racing for sure.
Yeah, and
so
I
we have the license revoking, and then your car can get depoted, so you get fined every time that you pull your vehicle out. We do have a PD impound, but I believe it's also tied to the regular impound.
I'll look into that too, because I do think that's another system we can come up with that like you were saying, for like a major crime like that, and if you don't take the putting fake plates on or anything like that to try to cover your tracks at least, then yeah, there should be repercussions for sure.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not against staff approaching Cromwell in character and police approaching Cromwell in character and asking for a vehicle to be seized or something like that. Like, if people want to, play fuck games with their cars and constantly use them in major crimes, then having them be seized as state's evidence is certainly nothing I'm against.
Well, it would help with the speed issue with, people getting in their cars that's got level 4 engine, level 4 turbo, or level 4 transmission, turbo, and all that, and they're dusting the cops. It would reduce that a lot.
Yeah.
People have to think a little bit. Another thing I wanted to touch on is if people default on their business loan, is there any punishment? Like, is there a timer till they could put it in another business app or something of that nature? Because a lot of people open businesses. Y'all do all this hard work to help them open it. And you do all the coding and all the effort and stuff, and then they open it for 2 days and never touch it again.
Yeah, that's always been an issue. I don't think we have anything in right now, like officially, but we definitely do. Like, if we know that you've had a business and it's gone south and didn't work out, then yes, as we're doing business proposals, that's always brought into consideration. As far as something official, that could be fun to make a rule or some sort of in character thing that's actually known in character that happens when you mess up, right? Maybe it's like your social credit or right, your credit system of some kind. You don't have the credit to open a business anymore, type thing.
Do you guys think that first aid kits are bad for EMS RP? Like, I know they're limited, but it still reduces EMS RP overall.
Yeah, I think just having grandmas would be plenty for
Like,
people, and then EMS being the
You mean that
provider.
EMS has to use the item, or
No, like how so I went to Sora's first aid class and I had first aid kits, so I could just pick somebody up anytime, any place. Doesn't matter if they got shot or fell and twisted their leg. It doesn't matter. Like, I could pick
Yeah.
anybody up, and I'm not. Well, I mean, Toms would be medically trained from the military, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody's medically trained to use it and save a life and so on and so forth.
does it not use it like when you use the item though?
No, it uses it up, and I know they're limited, but it still reduces. You know what I mean? You got people buying everybody else's shit.
That's the same way with the outlaw doctor supplies too, with the shots they had, the adrenaline and all that too, right? Like, fuck, I don't think I ever went to the hospital for anything medical wise because I knew outlaw doctors. And I would go through the RP still. We would go up to that outlaw house and they'd work on me there. But like I said, it definitely 100% took away from the hospital and EMS and all that, in my opinion. So we could probably do with that too, right? Because then people can bring people to the hospital or to grandma's instead of using the first aid kit. So, and Sora gets the interactions and all the other doctors.
Just to touch on what someone spoke about earlier with corner selling, can you guys, is it possible to reduce how frequent it alerts PD that, like, it's a chance, like, say 50-50, 60-40, whatever the case may be? Maybe put a percentage chance on it if there's not one already, instead of it just, because then that would encourage people to stay in one area. Just like, if you sell a bag, then you already know that the cops are coming. Like, you already know they already got alerted.
It's total RNG as far as what the NPC decides, so it's random. I've always wanted it to be treated how we used to do it in Red M. Like, when we used to go sell drugs in Red M, right? Like, the whole gang of 6 people would ride into Ansburg or wherever, and 2 guys would start selling, or 3, and then the other 3 are lookout. So if the cops show up to, bust you, if they're not coming with more than 6 people, they're fucked. Because you can tell them to fuck off.
Like that one cop who got executed in the fucking back alleys.
And then,
In a perfect world, there would be a cooldown. So essentially, you sell to one person, and if you leave that area, then you get put on like a 5-minute cooldown. That would be in a perfect world, because then you can mechanically force people to have to stay in one area.
But like, what I'm trying to get at is like it's a gang activity in a sense, right? Like, go sit on a corner with your homies, fucking 4 or 6 deep, and sell drugs. If the cops roll up, they're gonna come with 2 at first, which you'll tell them to fuck off. And if they come with more, well, then that's a different story. How you handle it is up to you. But that's the way I'd go about it, right? Because then you feel safe to stand on the corner and actually hustle rather than hop out and sell once and be like, oh fuck, the cops are coming. You hop on your dirt bike or whatever and fuck off. So I think it'd be cool interactions to see, especially in Southside, right? Like, that's your hood. Fucking the cops know that. They should fuck off in a way, right? Like, I know, and I'm not going to say names again. There's other places where cops don't even respond to drug calls in Southside because they know what's going on.
Freddie, real quick, people are mentioning the fact that corner selling is at a limit of 2, so they don't want to break rules by going over.
Oh, well, there you go. Maybe that needs to be changed. I don't know. It's whatever we think is fair. It's role play over role play in the end. So
yeah, I have no issue with bringing it up to 4.
All right. With that said, Yeah, I don't really have much. I'm looking forward to see what you guys bring to the Civ life. As a Civ who's been in the city for 4 or 5 months now, strictly Civ, no major crimes, nothing crazy. I hope you make. Listen, that was one time back in 1992.
No,
But I'm just
yeah.
looking forward to see what you guys bring. That's all.
I was actually just gonna say too, when we were talking about the limits there, like I've been back in Redem now for the past 2 weeks, kind of, and it's 6 across the board over there, which blows my fucking mind. You can go rob a general store with 6 people. That probably needs to change over there too. We have a good stage system on the FiveM side for crime. So.
It's also about active police as well. If once we're at a point where we have 10, 15 active all the time, then we can definitely start to up numbers in different places.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna take any more of y'all's time. Once again, thanks for hosting this meeting. I appreciate y'all.
Yep, no problem, man. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, how you guys doing again? So one thing I noticed a lot of people have asked for, and given my situation, prison, having more to do there. Like like my character's in for the 9s right now, and um, two different things. One, more stuff in prison to do. I know in like an old city that I came from, that there was actually like a interior to Bolingbrook that you can go search behind all the toilets, try to find drugs, shanks, other things, and there was also a way to bust your way out of there. Given that we don't have any more crafting benches, or that they're harder to find now, gate crackers are no longer a thing. Um, so that's one thing I've seen a lot of people ask for, is just more stuff to do in prison, especially if you're going to be in there for uh, a lengthy amount of time. So I'm not sure.
There is an interior there. I'll put some stuff in there to utilize. I also had it in the test server. I never got it in due to fucking leaving, but there's a whole system where you like roll cigarettes and basically use them as currency in prison. There's an official drug that would be made only in prison, which is ketamine, which you basically have to be in there for X amount of time to be able to do it. So you either are like you have to be on the 9s or a lifer to be the guy that creates the ketamine.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots like that. I will. I think it got backburnered, but I will get it going again.
Okay. And the other second thing is just so I have been out of my character for almost going on a week now. So like I understand, there's things probably in the background moving, but seeing how fast like warrants got approved for arrest and stuff like that, and now it is kind of at a stale, and like now I can't RP my main character because one, there's nothing to do in prison, but then two, I'm stuck because I'm
You've been 9s for a week?
Almost, yeah.
And
we're
working on that.
Yeah, and I can say, like, I've been away with IRL stuff for probably the last 2 weeks, and I play the DA, so that's made that difficult on my end, and I apologize. No meta, obviously, but that's actually something that I'm hoping to get taken care of today after the meeting for you. So
I apologize if brings the meta to the meeting, but
no,
like,
it's all good.
We got denied bail within the same day. And I was like, all right, cool. If they're gonna be quick enough to deny our bail, then they're probably like actively on the case. And now it's like I said, tomorrow will be 1 week to the day that we got arrested, and we got denied bail, but we're also set in prison with ankle monitors. Like, so that's just insult to injury that we're here. And so even if we did break out, it's just like we're due to get caught because we have ankle monitors on. Versus we could have been out a long time ago with ankle monitors. Like I've seen other people had. I get the validity of the charges that we're facing against, but like, at the same time, now I'm out of a character, and I don't want to start another character and have a side story going on that gets maybe too invested into, because my main character's in prison awaiting a bail plea or something like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, with Murphy being gone with IRL stuff and me dying of COVID.
It's been
DOJ has kind of slowed down. We apologize for that, and we will get things up and running. So.
Yeah, yesterday I hopped on the DA and caught up on the last like 2 weeks of stuff that I've been missing out on. So that's going to be picking up. I'm definitely taking more of a straightforward approach to that, both in and out of game. I've been, anytime that somebody, sends me a quote unquote email, anything DA related, I can even, I can handle that from my phone 90% of the time, unless I need to get in game to read an MDT report or something like that. But I'm going to be getting in game more to just be present and try and handle those things. Because definitely we don't want the trend for people that are getting put on the 9s to be they have to wait a week.
Yeah.
We don't want to stunt anyone's role play. So.
All right, cool. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean those are just the two main points. I didn't know to make a ticket for it, or if, if this would be a perfect setting to bring it up to other people who may go through the same situation.
Yeah, all good, man.
All right, appreciate you guys' time.
Up we have Red Water. You've been invited to.
Hey guys.
Hey man.
So I actually made a suggestion about this earlier today, but I think it would be super helpful for new players if there was a channel added to the Discord going over the keybinds and the commands. Possibly also a sort of starting guide for new players. I know when I joined it was a little difficult and definitely a little frustrating trying to get my head around some of the commands and everything like that. So I think it helped with, keeping people around in the server and all that.
Making a guide for commands, like what ones specifically?
Just generic keybinds, you mean? Like
Basic
stuff?
Just like alt and right click for interacting with stuff. Like I didn't even find that out until like a couple days after.
Okay, yeah, we can do that for sure.
Yeah. All right. I think it'd be pretty helpful.
Yeah, beneficial for everyone.
We've had something like that for RedM for a while, and then I know like before FiveM launched, when I was still on RedM staff, one of the big things that we had done before then was the /guide, which I know Angus mentioned in the chat, which kind of gives a little bit more info on just a lot of how the server works as well. I don't know if something like that's possible, but just a general kind of beginner's guide I think would be really helpful.
Yeah, we could do something like that too.
Yeah. And I think in the meantime, since a guide would be a little bit more involved, I think just having a channel with the commands and what they do would be like very helpful for new people.
Yeah, we can do that at minimum for sure.
All right, that's all I wanted. I love the server and looking forward to the changes.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
One quick second. Red Water, man, that voice is phenomenal, bro. I hope you playing a native in Red M. God damn. Sorry to say that, but that just threw me off. I did not expect that. But I wanted to touch on the phones. I know you said something about them phones.
Oh, new phone?
Yeah. I just want to touch on the phones real quick.
Yeah.
Can we? So I have seen in a couple cities where there's things like liquid courage and all that stuff. I call it coward courage, but it also promotes funny avenues and deadly avenues of RP and stuff. If it's like kind of like a bread trail with the Twitter stuff. Like I know I've seen people like they log out of their Twitter because here in our Twitter we can't change our names, right? So there was one where the people would log out of theirs and they would make a ghost account and then they would talk the most shit about a gang that they don't have courage to talk to on their account.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like jibber jabbering. Now it's got this big gang, big bad tough guy like, oh, well, who's talking shit? Like, who is this guy? Try to find this guy. And you know what I mean? Of course, there's also chances that this dude might not tell a soul, but then it could be that one person he tells, and then this so happens that that dude has a big mouth or she has a big mouth, and then word spreads like wildfire. You know what I mean? So then, stuff like that. Or, FaceTime, people do go on these little avenues, like they be posting their pictures, oh, out having fun at the beach, and then I call somebody up and like, where you at? And I just kind of want to, hey, you see me back here on the islands or some shit like that. I don't know, FaceTime. I don't know, just some quick avenues. But yeah, just wanted to see if that was in the realm of possibility.
I can see
Your
at least
Grace.
a way to do like an anonymous post, even
Oh,
if you
okay.
can't
Yeah.
make your own account.
Yeah, because I just feel like everybody's too like when it comes to it. Me personally, if I would like for a crim, I could see it like helpful for the crims because they could be trying to get some business going, but obviously everybody sees Twitter because everybody has a phone. So, what I mean, kind of hard to get business out there trying to drive around and look for someone. Like you said, everybody's in their own little groups and circles, but everybody, tweets and do all this stuff. So I mean, just trying to look at different avenues to get word out to engage in these RP avenues, so to speak. So I mean, that was like my big thing. But yeah, shout out to that guy with that deep ass voice. That was kind of crazy. That's all I had.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, that's certainly something we can look into. All right, next up we've got Tony Macaroni. We're gonna do Tony, and then we're gonna do Apple, and then I think we're gonna close out on the raised hand portion of the meeting, so that we can try and get you guys out of here before the restart.
Awesome. One thing I was going to say about using personal vehicles, I think something that would help is a lot of time your secondaries disappear unless you have someone watching them. So if you're trying to do like some of the more elaborate things and local vehicles switch to others, they disappear pretty quickly unless you have them like close to someone or someone watching them. So I don't know if there's a way to adjust that or kind of help with that, but that might stop people from using, any car that's OP.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there must be a radius or something that goes off. Because I mean, there's definitely been times where I've had bikes be there, but yeah, there's been times where they're gone. So definitely something up with that.
Yeah,
It can
it's
kind of be tough getting
probably
an extra person to sit there, for like 30 minutes while you're kind of doing the job and then, hoping they stay there. And we've had people watch too. And if they're not even close enough, they could be watching them and they'll just poof.
yeah, not exactly sure what's up with that. It's a weird one for sure because I've been in unpopulated areas, crash, come back, and my car's still there, and then sometimes will just completely vanish. So I get what you mean.
Yeah, from my understanding, because I've looked into it before, after some issues, like Tony, for example, I can speak on this because you were there for it. When we did that first Polito, and we had 3 bikes set up, and the third one just vanished right in front of Daniel while he was sitting there watching. So we ended up only having 2 left over. I think a big part about it, from what I've looked into it online, is basically if there's not a player within a certain radius for their game to render and register the vehicle, it can despawn. And I don't know if that's something that's exactly fixable or not. I haven't really seen much on it. It's kind of just one of those things that exists with FiveM. And I mean, it's in GTA Online as well. But yeah, it's definitely a problem, and it makes it where trying to set up a stage 2, unless you have somebody sitting in the area, you don't know if they're actually going to be there when you get there, and that makes it really difficult when that happens. Because I know, for example, I've watched plenty of streams, like I've seen it in Maxwell's stream before, where they pulled up where the stage 2s were supposed to be, and there were no stage 2s. So it was kind of awkward where everybody scrambles to keep going in the local vehicle that they had stolen, without being able to get that switch off to the new vehicles. So if there is a fix for that, that'd be awesome to get that taken care of. Because otherwise, like Tom said, you basically have to pay a babysitter, give them a cut to just make sure your vehicles don't despawn.
Yeah, shout out to a few of y'all for doing that for me. Thank you.
Where's everyone at, Tweet?
Damn, calling me out.
All right, Tony, was that it?
Yeah, that's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Like I said, we'll look into it. There's no promises that it's something we can just fix immediately, though. And then finally, we've got Apple. What's up, buddy? Apple?
You got a stage right there, Apple.
You on your phone?
Apple Bed.
Must be on an Apple phone.
Somebody said applesauce.
What?
Applesauce. All right. Well, if anyone can figure out why Apple is
Oh,
not.
there you go. Sorry, my voice mod
Okay.
was fucking up.
All right.
I essentially wanted to bring up. Sorry about that. Easier ways to get like video footage in game, whether that being like dash cams on in your cars, or even having easier access to security cams. I know they're available, but they're very, very under the radar to get. And I know even Sora wanted to get security cams for the hospital when her cars were blowing up, and not even she could get it, being working for the hospital. And I feel like it would make criminals be more, scarce about doing things out in the open, knowing that they might get caught on video and all that sort of stuff. And it'd bring better court RP because more evidence and that sort of thing.
The big issue with the CCTV system at current is it's live feed only. So unless you're actively watching it, nothing is recorded.
But
so
even then, it's better than just having nothing, right? At least you have a chance
I
with it.
understand that. I also would say like having them more publicly available would be great, but I think we might have to find a
I
bit
think you
more
can buy
reliable.
cameras at any local electronics store, can you?
No.
No,
No, they're not readily available, but they're quite buggy.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is, as the player who controls the cameras, it is a buggy script. It's not a perfect script. Things don't work well with it. The cameras
The only
have
issue
issues.
is that sometimes you don't see the camera there.
Yeah,
They
or
would
like you
work.
can't take them down. You can't destroy.
Yeah, I haven't had
things.
any other issues outside of that. As far
I've
as
been
viewing
able
it,
to
it's
take
always been
down-
immaculate for me.
I've been able to take down all mine. You can only take them down one time, though, I think.
The static views are the problem. The 360 never had an issue with it. It's always the statics. They end up under the map and all
I think
sorts.
if they were available to the public, but were expensive, like really expensive, then that could help. So we don't just end up, because if they're just made cheap, then we're gonna end up with cameras all over the place within a couple of days.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons they are controlled by myself and other people involved in the business. They are on the expensive side, and we do cater to specific clientele. If we wanted to add the static cameras in to the common store, like the way phones are, I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. But the other things, the other side of the cameras, I think would still need to be controlled.
Yeah, I think controlling the criminal market, and then potentially something we could do is the police could have access to a certain rank of the police could have access to cameras that are in highly crime populated areas to help because then that could go towards because I agree the more investigative RP is better. Like it'll make the court RP better if there's actual evidence, and they'll have to be sitting there watching it too, which is pretty cool. Then they can screen record that since it could technically be used.
Even just like a dash cam in a car will help a lot too, because I don't think you're technically. I think it's a rule break if you try to do that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, are you talking about the first person rule for
Yeah,
recordings?
yeah.
So we've talked about it a few times, like that specific thing. I don't think we ever really came to a particular consensus on it. And when it comes to like PD and court cases, we've kind of just had to allow third person video just because when you're in the heat of the moment and you don't know that something's going to go to court, you don't go, hold on, let me switch into first person real quick.
Yeah.
Like that's
role play over role play. I agree. 100%.
Exactly. And that's the difficult thing with that we've always kind of struggled with.
I'd say the other part where that becomes a hard problem is every minor thing could just turn down to someone being like, I've got a body cam, I've got dash cam, and it takes away people actually trying to role play stuff. and literally just flying files, video files at each other yelling, which I've seen.
That's
So it's
true,
trying
yeah.
to find a way which it can be
Balanced.
utilized effectively, but not abused and just basically relied on over everything. Because I think there's interesting points when a case, there isn't any footage, and it comes down to arguing who has the more convincing case over just someone screaming, "I have body cam," and yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I agree with that.
like that's the thing is like in real life you can tell if somebody's recording something for the most part because they'll have their phone out, they'll have a body cam on, a GoPro, something like that. Here, people can just wear whatever they want, record something and then say that, oh well, I've got footage. And that's the other thing is like people IRL don't go around recording everything unless you're like a YouTube vlogger. So it's definitely a bit of a weird break. I would like if there was like a dash cam system for police, that'd be cool. But I don't know, it's definitely a hard thing to figure out the like perfect method for.
Considering police would have dash cams going, like their footage should be able to be used when in a car, 100%.
Yeah, and that's
No
what
matter
we
if it's
kind
third or
of
first.
that's what we kind of ruled with the DOJ is like, we assume that the police are wearing body cams and have dash cams, so that's why we had kind of made the concession that when it comes to the police, if they have video, then, well, they have video, just because otherwise there's never going to be any. Because unlike FiveM and Red Dead in general, where you can somewhat reasonably play in first person, the second you go into first person in FiveM or GTA 5, it is an absolute mess and is almost a disadvantage. So that's definitely something that we've got to sort out there.
CJ, max of 4 multi-jobs. No. Not be increasing the amount of multi-jobs we do.
Oh, I think he was saying to reduce it.
Yeah, I think he was actually to be reduced.
Yeah, I
reduce?
said reduce. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm pretty sure it's only supposed to be 4 anyway, is it not?
Yeah, he's saying make it less than 4.
Yeah, make it less than 4.
Oh.
I personally wouldn't be against that. No. I think
3. Bring it down 1.
Maybe or bring it down to 2.
I'd say because there's issues that some business don't need people. I would say 3 is reasonable. Lets you do a main job, a part-time job, and then a civilian job.
Yeah. Apple, was that all that you had for us today?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, I think that's it for the public question side of things. Got their hands up, and we said we were going to end it off before the restart. And it is currently 6:52.
Thank you to everybody for being a part of Goldrush Los Santos. I think this was a huge experiment off the start. Everyone's noticed that, how slow it was off the start. We really tried to push for the FiveM side to come into this more with the whole slow burn, but it's just really hard to do in FiveM. It's just a faster pace, and everybody wants to keep moving. And it relies more on mechanics for sure. So thanks for sticking with us, and we'll work through these kinks. Thermite will be available after the restart. Find out in character, and I'll get the other things fixed up too. And Civs will get some major love.
Yep, we want to get this stuff out for you guys as soon as we can. Make sure that everybody's got a good time here, and we apologize for the delay in things. We apologize that we've not been entirely transparent on everything that's going on. It's been kind of a, in a behind the scenes sense, it's been kind of a scramble to make things work and make things, be a way, or exist in a way that it's fair to everyone.
And one thing I want to add as well, just to everybody that's here listening, If you guys have any ideas, suggestions, please utilize the FiveM suggestions. Staff does read over those and talk about them pretty regularly. I know somebody had mentioned earlier, I remember seeing it scrolling through. Somebody asked if staff even read those. We do, and definitely utilize those. You know, we've mentioned that there's going to be a big revamp coming for a lot of things, particularly on the Civ side of the server. So if you guys have ideas, whether that's just concept ideas, scripts for different Civ jobs, things to do as a Civ, like don't be afraid to like throw that out there and put it in our line of sight so that we can see it. And
yeah, those suggestions are like
engage.
conversation starters for us in our staff chat. Like that's you guys are just making conversation starters for us, and that's always a good thing.
I'd really like to see suggestions on like player-to-player economy jobs that we can bring in, because it's where a lot of great roleplay comes from, and it's just the community thrives better, keeps everyone moving and working together, relying on each other for things. Yeah, anybody else got anything they want to say before we head out? Staff-wise? No? All right, guys, thank you. Have a good evening.
Everyone have a good day.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Where everyone at?